The night was cold as Serena and Derek moved through dark alleys, staying away from flashing police lights and burning cars. Derek's daughter clutched his hand tightly, eyes wide with fear. Serena led them through secret paths, her sharp eyes scanning every rooftop, every shadow. They stopped in an abandoned warehouse at the edge of town. Broken windows let moonlight in, lighting the cracked floor. Derek sat his daughter down behind old crates. He looked at Serena with hard eyes. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice low and tense. Serena stayed silent for a moment. Her cloak moved. Softly in the cold breeze, she lowered her hood, showing her bruised face and the cracked helmet hanging at her belt. "My name is Serena," she said quietly. "I was sent to kill you." Derek's eyes narrowed. His hand moved closer to the pistol at his side. But his daughter looked between them, confused. Serena raised her hand slowly. "I was sent by people afraid of you," she continued. "But now I see there are worse enemies coming for both of us." Derek looked at her for a long time, then relaxed his shoulders. He pulled his daughter close. "You saved my little girl," he said softly. "I won't forget that." They sat in silence, the only sound the girl's quiet breathing. Finally, Derek asked, "Why would the High Council send someone like you after me? I've been hiding here for years." Serena hesitated. She thought of the files she had read, the fear in the Council's messages. "I believe you know something dangerous," she said. "Something that could destroy them." Derek looked away, eyes dark. "Maybe they're right." Before Serena could ask more, her scanner beeped softly. She checked it quickly. 3 red dots moved toward their position from the east. "We need to leave now," she said. Derek nodded. He lifted his daughter and followed Serena out the back door. They moved through the empty streets. Derek's daughter hugged his neck, silent but scared. Serena led them to the forest outside town. There, hidden among old trees, stood her small ship. Derek's eyes widened. "You have a ship?" Serena nodded. "It's our only chance to get away." They climbed aboard quickly. The ship's doors closed with a hiss, and engines rumbled softly. Inside, bright lights and humming machines filled the narrow halls. Derek's daughter stared at everything with wide eyes.
"Daddy, where are we going?"
she asked. "Somewhere safe," he answered. Voice gentle but strained, Serena guided the ship up through the trees. Leaves flew in all directions. The ship rose into the night sky, stars shining above. Alarms blared on the console. Multiple enemy ships appeared on the scanner, closing in fast. "Hold on," Serena shouted. She pushed the engines to full power. The ship shot through the clouds like a missile. Enemy fire lit up the night behind them, but Serena twisted and turned, dodging beams of red energy. Derek strapped his daughter into a seat, then moved to Serena's side. He looked at the screens, reading the enemy positions. "Go left here," he ordered. "There's a storm front we can hide in." Serena glanced at him, surprised. "You know ships?" He gave a small, grim smile. "I used to fly for the special forces." Serena followed his directions. They dove into thick storm clouds. Lightning flashed around them. Rain pounded the hull. Enemy ships followed, but visibility dropped to 0. One enemy slammed into another and exploded. The rest scattered, lost in the storm. Serena let out a long breath. For the first time, she felt a strange thing in her chest. Trust. She looked at Derek. He looked back. They both nodded. They needed each other. The ship cleared the storm, rising above the clouds. Stars spread out before them, endless and beautiful. But the scanner still showed red dots behind them. Searching Derek sat down next to Serena. His daughter slept peacefully. In the seat behind him, safe for now, he looked at Serena seriously. "If we're going to survive, we need to know why they want me dead," he said. "I'll tell you everything, but you have to promise to protect my daughter." Serena looked into his eyes. For the first time, she saw not just a target, but a man who would do anything for his child. She nodded. "I promise." Derek took a deep breath. "I used to work on a secret project, a weapon powerful enough to destroy planets. But I destroyed my notes and ran when I learned they planned to use it against innocent worlds." Serena's eyes widened. Everything made sense now. The council didn't fear him for what he was. They feared what he knew and what he could stop. A soft voice came from the back. Derek's daughter had woken up. "Daddy, who is she?" Derek looked at Serena. "She's our friend," he said softly. For the first time in her life, Serena felt something warm and unfamiliar in her chest. Hope. Serena's ship drifted silently through space. Stars shone like diamonds outside the windows. Inside, the air felt heavy. Derek had just shared a secret, a weapon powerful enough to destroy entire planets. Serena sat in the pilot's chair, staring out at the endless black. Derek's daughter slept behind them, hugging a small stuffed animal. Derek stood beside Serena. His face was pale, eyes dark with old memories. "They called it Project Ragnarok," he said quietly. "It was supposed to be a way to end wars forever, but it was just a way to control everyone." Serena kept her eyes on the stars. Her voice was cold but calm. "Why didn't you finish it?" Derek looked at his hands, remembering. "I saw the plan. They wanted to use it to threaten every world, every species, and make the council the rulers of the entire galaxy. I couldn't let that happen. I stole the core data and destroyed the rest." Serena frowned. "Do you still have it?" Hesitated, then nodded. "It's hidden. But they know I'm alive, so they'll never stop hunting me." Silence filled the cockpit. Only the hum of the engines broke it. Serena's mind raced. If the council got that data, they could control everything. But if it fell into the wrong hands, millions could die. A soft beeping interrupted her thoughts. The scanner showed 3 ships closing in fast. Red lights flashed on the console, enemy signatures. Council's hunters had found them. Serena turned to Derek. "Get your daughter strapped in now." Derek nodded and ran to the back. Serena grabbed the controls. Enemy ships fired plasma bolts. Bright beams of light streaked past their hull, shaking the ship. Serena rolled to the side, dodging one shot. Another blast hit the rear shields, sending sparks flying. Derek's daughter screamed. Derek held her close, whispering, "It's okay, baby. It's okay." Serena's eyes were sharp, focused. She twisted the ship into a tight spin, moving between floating rocks of an asteroid field. The enemy ships followed, firing wildly. Explosions lit up the dark space. One enemy clipped an asteroid and blew apart. 2 remained. Derek moved to Serena's side. "You can't outrun them forever," he said urgently. "There's an old rebel base nearby. We can hide there," Serena nodded. "Coordinates?" Derek punched numbers into the console. Ship jumped to light speed, stars turning into bright lines. Seconds later, they dropped out near a small, dead moon. Dark station orbited it, barely visible against the black. The rebel base. Serena flew the ship into a hidden hangar entrance. Massive doors closed behind them just as the enemy ships appeared. The hunters searched the area but couldn't find them. Serena powered down the engines and silence returned. The base was cold, dark, and empty. Dust covered metal floors. Old banners of a long-fallen rebellion hung torn on the walls. Derek led the way, flashlight cutting through darkness. Serena followed, scanning for threats. They reached a control room. Derek started old power systems. Lights flickered to life, screens turned on, and the hum of generators echoed through the halls. "We'll be safe here for a while," he said, Serena. Checked her weapons. "They'll search every system," she said. "We can't hide forever." Derek looked at her with tired eyes. "I know, but we need time to plan." Soft voice came from behind them. Derek's daughter stood at the door, eyes wide with fear. "Daddy, are they going to hurt us?" Derek knelt down, pulling her close. "No one will hurt you," he promised. He looked up at Serena. "Right?" Serena hesitated. She had been a killer all her life, but in this moment, something inside her shifted. She nodded. "I'll protect her. I swear." They set up the base as best they could. Serena placed traps at entrances, activated old defense turrets, and programmed the sensors. Derek showed her hidden passages and secret rooms. As they worked side by side, A strange bond grew between them. They were no longer hunter and target. They were allies. Later, as they sat in the control room, Derek opened a secret compartment in the wall. Inside was a small data core glowing softly. He held it out to Serena. This is what they want. If we destroy it, they'll stop hunting. Miss Serena took the core, feeling its weight. But then, no one will know the truth, she said quietly. The council will keep its secrets. Derek looked torn. If it stays, everyone is in danger. If it's gone, no one will ever know. What they planned? Serena placed the core on the table between them. We'll decide together, she said. But first, we survive. Suddenly, the alarms blared. Motion sensors detected ships landing outside the base. Red lights flashed. Enemy forces were here. Serena stood quickly, drawing her blaster. Derek grabbed his rifle. They looked at each other and nodded. The doors began to shake as explosions echoed through the halls. Together, they prepared for the fight of their lives. The walls of the old rebel base shook as explosions boomed outside. Dust fell from the ceiling. Derek's daughter hid behind a console, hugging her stuffed toy with tears in her eyes. Derek stood near the door, rifle ready. Serena moved like a shadow, checking traps and setting charges. Through a cracked screen, they watched enemy troops gather outside. Black-armored soldiers carrying heavy weapons spread out around the base entrance. Dropships hovered above, shining bright spotlights. On the ruins, they brought an army, Derek said grimly. Serena's eyes were cold. Then we'll give them a war. She handed Derek a small device. Press this if they get inside. It will blow the charges I set in the outer halls. Derek nodded. His hands were steady. He looked at his daughter, fear and determination in his eyes. Stay quiet, sweetheart. And our friend will keep you safe. Outside, a voice boomed from speakers on the enemy dropships. Derek Hale, you cannot escape. Hand over the data core and the assassin. You have 1 minute. Serena's face tightened. They know I'm with you, she said. Derek gave a small, tired smile. Guess you've made some powerful enemies too. Serena moved to the main control panel, opening old defense systems. Turrets hidden in walls, powered up with low hums. Rusted but still deadly, they turned toward the entrance. She looked at Derek. Get ready. The first enemy charge came fast. Explosives blasted the main doors open. Black-armored soldiers poured inside, firing plasma rifles. Turrets roared to life, spitting red beams of death. Enemy troops fell, but more kept coming. Serena moved through the shadows, shooting with deadly aim. Each shot dropped an enemy. She flipped over a console, landing behind a group of soldiers. Her knives flashed, silent and quick. Derek fought. By her side, firing in controlled bursts. Every bullet counted. He kept his daughter behind him, shielding her with his body when stray shots hit the walls. The fight raged through the halls. Explosions rocked the base as charges set by Serena blew up, collapsing tunnels and slowing the enemy. But they kept coming, endless waves of black armor. Serena felt her heart pounding. She had fought many battles, but never one like this. She wasn't fighting for money or orders. She was fighting for something she never thought she'd have. People who mattered. An enemy grenade rolled near Derek's daughter. Time slowed for Serena. She dove, grabbing the grenade and throwing it back toward the attackers. The blast lit up the hall, throwing her and Derek to the ground. Smoke filled the air. Lights flickered. Sparks fell like deadly rain. Serena crawled. To Derek, he was bleeding from a cut on his head but still conscious. His daughter cried softly, unhurt but terrified. Serena pulled them both behind a barricade. We can't hold them here forever, she said, voice ragged. Derek looked at the data core strapped to his belt. His eyes were full of pain. If they get this, everything is lost. Serena clenched her fists. Then we make sure they don't. She took the core and connected it to the base's main reactor. The screens showed a countdown. I'm overloading the reactor, she said. The explosion will destroy the core and everything else. Derek's eyes widened. We'll die too. Serena met his gaze. I can hold them long enough for you to escape through the tunnels, but you need to go now.
Ah.
Derek grabbed her arm. Come with us. Serena shook her head. They'll catch us all. Someone has to stay. For the first time, Derek's eyes softened. He saw not the assassin, but the woman who had saved his daughter, who had fought beside him. Thank you, he whispered. Serena helped them to a hidden hatch in the floor. Derek's daughter looked at Serena with big, tearful eyes. Will you be okay? Serena smiled, a small, sad smile. I'll be right behind you. She lied softly. They climbed down into the tunnels. Derek looked back one last time. Serena stood tall in the smoky hall, blaster ready, eyes fierce. The hatch closed. Serena turned to face the final wave of enemies crashing into the control room. She moved like a storm, every shot perfect, every movement deadly. But there were too many. Plasma bolts tore into her armor. She fell to one knee, but kept firing, eyes blazing. The countdown on the reactor reached its final seconds. Serena thought of the little girl's face, of Derek's promise, of the hope she felt for the first time. She whispered to the empty room, "Don't waste this chance." Then everything turned to light. Far below in the tunnels, Derek felt the ground shake with the force of the explosion. Heat and dust blew through the passage. He held his daughter close. Tears ran down his face. The data core was gone. The Council's secret died with Serena's last stand. But Derek and his daughter were still alive and free. Smoke and fire rose high above the dead moon. The rebel base was now a crater of melted steel and shattered stone. Derek and his daughter watched from a hidden cave far from the blast. His daughter held his hand tightly, her eyes wide with fear and sadness. They both knew Serena was gone. Derek knelt beside his daughter. Brushing her hair back from her face, "She saved us," he said softly. "She gave us a chance." The little girl hugged her stuffed toy. "Will they come for us again?" she whispered. Derek looked up at the stars. "Maybe, but we'll be ready." He thought of Serena's last words, the way she stood tall in the fire. He had seen many heroes in his life, but none like her. She had started as his enemy and died as his friend. For days, Derek and his daughter traveled through the tunnels under the moon, staying hidden. Derek carried supplies Serena had packed for them, food, water, and old maps of forgotten worlds. Each night, they slept under the stars, wrapped in blankets. Listening to the quiet hum of the galaxy, finally, they reached an old landing pad hidden deep in the moon's rocky canyons. There, half buried under years of dust, sat a small scout ship. Derek checked the engines, fixed old wires, prayed it would still fly. He strapped his daughter into the co-pilot seat. She looked at him with tired eyes. "Where will we go now?" she asked. Derek looked out at the endless stars. "Somewhere. The Council can't find us," he said. "A place where we can start over." The ship rumbled to life, engines coughing before settling into a steady hum. The hangar doors opened, and moonlight flooded the pad. Derek took one last look at the shattered base behind them. "Goodbye, Serena," he whispered. The ship lifted. Off, rising past the cliffs, as they broke through the thin atmosphere, the stars spread out before them, a sea of possibilities. For days they traveled in silence, slipping between old trade routes and forgotten wormholes. Derek taught his daughter how to read star maps. She learned fast, her small fingers tracing glowing lines on the console. One night, they sat together in the cockpit. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Daddy, do you think Serena's with the stars now?" she asked softly. Derek smiled, a sad but warm smile. "I think she's watching over us," he said. "I think she'd want us to be brave." They reached a small green world far beyond Council space. Forests covered the land, and blue oceans sparkled under a bright sun. Derek landed the ship in a quiet valley. Birds sang in the trees, and flowers bloomed everywhere, for the first time in years. Derek felt peace. He built a small home among the trees, using old skills he had learned long ago. He taught his daughter to fish in the streams and climb the tall trees. They planted a garden together, laughing as they worked in the soft earth. Every night, they sat by a small fire under the stars. Derek told stories of brave warriors and lost worlds, of heroes who fought for what was right. His daughter listened with wide eyes, dreaming of adventures of her own. But sometimes, when the night was very quiet, Derek looked up at the stars and remembered the woman who had changed everything. He remembered Serena's fierce eyes and the way she had stood up against an army. He remembered her promise. "I'll protect her, I swear." He whispered into the night. "You kept your word." Years passed. Derek's daughter grew strong and smart. She learned to fly ships and fix engines. She studied old books about justice and freedom. She wore a small necklace made from a piece of Serena's broken armor, a reminder of courage. One day, as Derek grew old and his daughter became a young woman, a ship landed in their valley. It carried refugees from worlds fighting against the Council's cruel rule. They came with stories of hope, stories of rebels rising up, inspired by whispers of a lone assassin who had sacrificed herself to destroy a terrible weapon. Derek's daughter stepped forward to greet them, strong and confident. "Welcome," she said with a bright smile. "This is a safe place." As Derek watched her, he knew Serena's gift had not been wasted. Her sacrifice had given his daughter a future, and now she would give others hope too. That night, the stars shone brighter than ever, and among them, Derek felt sure there was one light watching over them, the fearless killer who became their savior. A new dawn had begun. The stars outside the ship looked cold and empty. Darkness filled the galaxy. But inside the black ship, someone was moving like a shadow. Her name was Serena. People across 1,000 worlds whispered her name in fear. She was the galaxy's deadliest assassin. No guard, no laser wall, and no army could stop her. She never felt fear. She loved hunting. She loved seeing her target's eyes when they realized death had come for them. Tonight, Serena had a new mission, a rich alien warlord on a floating palace above Jupiter. His guards wore shiny armor. His drones flew everywhere, scanning for intruders. Serena laughed softly inside her helmet. These fools thought they were safe. She slipped past lasers, crawled along the ceiling, and poisoned 3 guards without making a sound. She reached the warlord's room. He was sleeping with soft music playing. She placed a tiny knife above his heart. One quick move, she ended his life. A drop of blood fell on her glove. She smiled. Another perfect kill. Serena escaped before alarms rang. She walked calmly into her ship. As soon as she closed the door, the ship's AI spoke. "Mission complete, mistress. Shall I report to the guild?" "Yes," Serena said, sitting in her dark chair. "Tell them the contract is done." The AI paused. "Mistress, there is a new message. It is from the High Council." Serena raised an eyebrow. The High Council only contacted her when things were serious. She played the message. A hologram of a tall alien appeared, his eyes glowing blue. His voice was cold. "Serena, your skills are needed again. A man has appeared on Earth. He is just a human, single father named Derek, but we believe he holds secrets that can destroy the Council. He must be eliminated, but be warned." "It is dangerous," Serena scoffed. "Dangerous? It's just a human father? I have killed warriors with metal skin. I've killed beasts bigger than spaceships. Why would I fear a man who changes diapers?" The hologram flickered. "He has a daughter. Use her if you must, but complete this mission quickly." And Serena, "Many before you tried to kill him. None survived." The message ended. For the first time in her life, Serena felt something strange in her chest. It was small, like a cold hand squeezing her heart. She shook her head. "I do not fear," she whispered. She rose and walked to the weapon room. Blades of every kind, guns with plasma bullets, poisons from dead planets. She packed them all. She checked her face in the mirror. Her eyes were sharp, black as space, and her hair was white as snow. A scar ran along her cheek, proof of the only time she had ever been touched in battle. She stepped into her ship's cockpit. "Set course for Earth," she commanded. The ship's engines roared to life. Stars turned into long lines as she jumped to light speed. But in the darkness of her mind, a thought kept coming back. How can a human father scare the High Council so much? As the ship traveled, Serena read everything. The Council had on Derek. Photos of him cooking with his daughter. Videos of him fixing an old car. Reports of him living quietly in a small Earth town. Nothing looked dangerous. He looked ordinary, but the last report was strange. It said 1 year ago, an entire squad of elite bounty hunters entered Earth. None came back. Their bodies were never found. Their last message was a scream. He sees us. Serena closed the file. She felt her hand tremble. She clenched it into a fist. No, I am not like them. I am the best. Hours later, her ship entered Earth's orbit. She looked down at the blue planet. It looked peaceful, harmless, and weak. She remembered how people said Earth was a primitive world full of silly humans. Easy to trick, easy to kill. She landed in a dark forest outside Derek's town. Night covered everything. Crickets chirped. The wind blew cold air. Serena stepped out, her black armor blending into the shadows. She moved between the trees like a ghost. She reached the edge of the town. Lights glowed in houses. She saw Derek's house from afar. A small home with flowers in the yard, a swing hanging from a tree. Inside, she saw a man cooking dinner. Little girl hugged his leg. They laughed. For the first time, Serena hesitated. She had killed fathers before. She had killed mothers, children, kings, and slaves. But this looked different. She shook her head again. Feelings are weakness, she told herself. She raised her scanner to study the house. Suddenly she felt a strange sensation, like someone was watching her. She turned quickly. No one was there, but the feeling stayed. She checked her scanner. The signal was clear, no one nearby. But the cold hand in her chest tightened. From the darkness far behind her, a man in a dark jacket watched her through binoculars. He closed his eyes and whispered, "She's here." Serena stood on the edge of the dark forest. The small Earth town looked quiet and peaceful, but her sharp eyes moved quickly. She was the galaxy's best killer. She had hunted in the toxic storms of Venus, the ice caves of Europa, and the endless deserts of Mars. Earth felt small, weak. She thought of the man she had come to kill. Derek, a single father, living with his daughter in this sleepy place. He looked so normal in the photos. She wondered again why the High Council was afraid of him. Why had they sent her their deadliest weapon? She stepped carefully onto the empty street. Her boots made no sound on the cracked road. She wore a black cloak that hid her armor. Anyone looking would see only a dark shadow moving in the night. Serena moved through the town. She passed houses with lights turned off, cars parked in driveways, dogs sleeping on porches. It all felt too quiet. She scanned every window, every alley. Nothing. No cameras, no guards, no security drones. It felt like a trap, but her scanner showed no threats. She reached Derek's house again. It was small, with blue paint peeling from the walls. A child's bicycle lay on the grass. A warm light glowed from inside the kitchen. She saw Derek washing dishes while his daughter colored pictures on the table. They looked happy. Serena's face stayed cold. Happiness was a lie. She had learned that long ago. She climbed onto the roof across the street and set up her sniper rifle. Through the scope, she watched Derek laugh with his daughter. His eyes looked tired, but kind. His hands were strong. Serena checked the laser sight on his head. One pull of the trigger, and the job was done. But something inside her told her to wait. Suddenly, her scanner beeped softly. Movement behind her. She rolled away from the rifle and crouched low. She scanned the dark street, eyes sharp as knives. There a flicker of motion near a garbage can. She aimed her blaster and fired. The garbage exploded, but no one was there. Serena cursed under her breath. She never missed signs of an enemy. But tonight felt different. The air was thick, heavy, like a storm was coming. She felt eyes on her, watching from somewhere she couldn't see. She packed her rifle and dropped into the alley. She moved silently between buildings, searching for whoever was following her. She checked rooftops, shadows, windows. Nothing. The street was empty. She decided to circle back to Derek's house. She needed more information before making her move. She climbed a tree near his backyard and watched him through the window. Derek tucked his daughter into bed. He kissed her forehead and whispered something that made the little girl giggle. Then he went into the kitchen, poured himself a drink, and looked out the window. For a moment, Serena thought he looked directly at her. Her heart jumped, but he turned away, unaware. She moved again, faster now. She checked his mailbox, full of bills, magazines, letters from school. She checked his trash, empty pizza boxes, empty bottles. Everything showed a boring, normal life, but Serena knew better than to trust appearances. As she searched, she found small signs that told another story. A secret panel in his garage with old military gear, a rifle hidden behind kitchen cabinets, a steel box of encrypted files under his bed. She smiled. This man was not just a father. He was trained. He was dangerous, but Serena didn't fear danger. She lived for it. She returned to her hiding place on the roof. Hours passed. Midnight came. The town grew even quieter. A soft mist rolled in. Dogs howled far away. The wind whispered through the trees. Then she saw something strange. Shadow moved across Derek's yard, faster than any human should. She focused her scope and saw nothing, just the swing moving slowly in the breeze. Her scanner beeped again, another reading of movement, this time in the trees behind her. She spun around, eyes scanning the darkness. Nothing. Silence. She felt her chest tighten. She had hunted monsters. Soldiers, assassins, but she had never felt like this. Like she was the one being hunted. She opened a secure channel to her ship. AI, scan the area around my position. Look for any life signs. The AI answered in a cold voice. Mistress, there is one life sign 30 meters east of you. She turned, her head slowly toward the direction. There was nothing but dark trees. She stepped carefully off the roof, moving like a shadow herself. She walked through the mist, blaster ready, but when she reached the spot, she found nothing. No footprints. No heat signatures. No broken branches. It was as if the watcher had disappeared into thin air. From the shadows above, unseen by Serena, a figure in a dark jacket lowered night vision goggles. Derek stood high on the water tower, eyes calm and sharp. He whispered to himself, "She's good, but not good enough." Morning came slowly over the small town. The sky turned from black to soft orange. Birds began to sing, but Serena did not notice the beauty. She had not slept all night. She sat hidden in the trees behind Derek's house, watching, waiting. She saw him come out of the front door, wearing a worn-out jacket and jeans. He carried a small backpack, and his daughter held his hand. They looked like a normal father taking his child to school. They walked down the quiet street, and he smiled. At neighbors. Everyone smiled back. Serena followed from the shadows, moving from tree to tree. She watched every step. She studied every smile. Everything looked so normal, but she felt something wrong in the air. Her instincts told her there was more to this man. When Derek reached the school, he hugged his daughter tightly. He told her to have a good day and watched until she went inside. Then he turned and walked back toward his house, but his eyes moved quickly, scanning cars, rooftops, and alleys. Serena realized with surprise he knew he was being followed. She moved carefully, but every time he passed a street corner, he paused. His eyes swept across the area. His hand always stayed near his pocket where Serena guessed he kept a weapon. He looked relaxed, but his muscles were tense. This was not the body language of an ordinary father. This was the movement of a trained soldier. Serena slipped into an old garage behind an empty house. From there, she had a perfect view of Derek's home. She watched him enter, close the door, and pull down the blinds. He disappeared from sight. She checked her scanner again. The house showed only one life sign, his, but the air felt wrong, heavy. She sensed a trap. Serena decided to act. She approached the house silently. She checked every window. Curtains were closed. She found a small open window near the back. She slipped inside like a black cat. She landed in the kitchen. The house smelled of fresh coffee and pancakes. Simple. Home. Photos on the walls showed Derek smiling with his daughter in parks, on beaches, in front of birthday cakes. A happy life. She moved deeper into the house. She passed the living room and reached a narrow hallway. Doors were closed. She scanned for traps, but found nothing. She stepped forward, clicked the floorboard under her foot shifted. Her eyes widened. She jumped back just as a net of steel wires fell from the ceiling, narrowly missing her. Small darts shot from the walls. She twisted her body, avoiding them by inches. The darts slammed into the wall behind her, sizzling with poison. Serena's heart pounded. She had walked into a trap. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the house. Calm, low, and steady. You are good. Very good, but you're not the first to try. Serena aimed her blaster and turned in circles. She saw no one. The voice seemed to come from everywhere. Why are you here? The voice asked. Who sent you? Serena kept silent. She moved quickly, looking for the source of the voice. She stepped into the living room, but the TV turned on by itself, showing Derek's face live. He was somewhere else in the house, watching her through cameras. I don't want to hurt you, Derek's voice said softly. Leave now, and I'll let you go. Serena felt a strange mix of anger and respect. No one had ever caught her like this. No one had ever seen her coming. Yet this father, had trapped her inside his own home. She moved again, faster now, trying to find him. She kicked open a door. It led to a small room full of old military gear, armor, weapons, maps. On the wall, she saw a photo of Derek in a black uniform, standing with a group of soldiers in spacesuits. Her eyes widened. She recognized the symbol on his chest, the mark of the old Terran Special Forces, a group believed to be extinct. She whispered to herself, So that's your secret? Suddenly, the lights went out. Darkness swallowed the house. Serena switched her visor to night vision, but thick smoke began to fill the hallway. She coughed, eyes tearing up. She heard footsteps behind her. She turned, firing her blaster, but hit nothing. A strong arm grabbed her from the shadows. She fought back fiercely, kicking and punching. She was fast, but he was faster. He slammed her against the wall. Her helmet cracked. Sparks flew. She punched him in the ribs, but he didn't let go. They rolled onto the floor, struggling. For a moment, their faces came close. She saw his eyes, cold, sharp, and full of pain. This was no normal man. This was a warrior who had seen many battles. He spoke softly in her ear. This is your only chance. Leave now. Serena headbutted him hard. He let go, and she flipped backward, landing on her feet. She threw a smoke bomb, and the room filled with darkness. She smashed through a window and escaped into the backyard. Breathing hard, she vanished. Into the trees, her heart pounding. She had never faced someone like him before. As she disappeared, Derek stood in his ruined living room, breathing heavily. He looked at the broken glass and the smashed furniture. He whispered to himself, They just won't stop coming. Serena ran through the dark forest behind Derek's house. Cold night air stung her face where her helmet had cracked. Her breaths came fast and hot. She felt blood on her lips. She was angry, furious. She was the galaxy's greatest killer. But she had been outsmarted, trapped, and almost beaten by a single human. Branches snapped under her feet. Owls flew away as she passed. She stopped near a fallen tree, crouched low, and tried to calm her shaking hands. She checked her scanner. It showed nothing. Derek was not following her. But that made her feel worse. He had let her go. It felt like an insult. She touched the broken part of her helmet. Sparks flickered. Her eyes narrowed. No one does this to me, she thought. No one. She opened a channel to her ship hidden outside. Town AI, prepare emergency medical bay. I'm returning. The AI's cold voice answered, Yes, mistress. She moved quickly through the woods, keeping two shadows. But deep inside, Doubt grew like a sickness. How had he known she was there? How had he set traps that even she couldn't see? She remembered his eyes during their fight, eyes of a man who had seen more death than even she had. She reached her ship and climbed inside. The door sealed behind her. Robotic arms moved to repair her armor and treat her wounds. As the machines worked, she played back every second of their fight in her mind. She slowed the recordings, watched his movements. He was skilled, precise, and faster than any normal human. When the repairs were done, she walked to the main console and searched the database again. Files about Derek were thin. Most were from spies who disappeared. Reports ended in static or one final word: run. She slammed her fist on the console. "Why is the council so afraid of him?" she shouted. "What are they hiding from me?" She decided she needed more information. Killing him would not be enough. She had to know the truth. She had to understand how a single father on a weak planet could scare the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Serena left her ship and moved back to Wardtown. This time she took the long way, avoiding streets and cameras. She climbed rooftops and moved silently across dark yards. She needed a new plan. She watched Derek from far away. Through her scope, she saw him sitting in his kitchen, head in his hands. He looked tired, broken, and alone. His daughter was safe at a neighbor's house, sleeping peacefully. Serena noticed how Derek's eyes always moved, scanning every shadow. He was waiting for the next attack. Serena realized she had to know him better. She needed to learn his habits, his weaknesses. She began to follow him every day. When he went to work at a small garage fixing cars, she watched from across the street. When he bought groceries, she hid in the store's rafters. When he took his daughter to the park, she moved between trees, silent as a ghost. Days passed like this. She saw him smile at strangers, help old people cross the street, laugh with his daughter. But every night he checked his guns, tested hidden alarms, and looked outside into the darkness, into her darkness. Each time she almost attacked, she stopped. Something inside her hesitated. This man was a killer, yes, but he was also a father who loved deeply. She began to remember things she tried to forget. A small hand reaching for hers, a warm laugh, a family lost long ago. One night, she watched from a rooftop. A sudden explosion rocked the street below. A car burst into flames. Derek appeared instantly, grabbing his daughter from the porch and rolling to cover. Serena saw men in black armor emerging from the shadows, firing energy rifles. Not her men. These were bounty hunters from another guild. Serena's eyes widened. She knew these killers by their marks: ruthless, skilled, and without mercy. They would kill Derek, his daughter, and anyone in their way. She pulled out her rifle, aimed, and fired. One bounty hunter fell. Fast, leaping from the rooftop, she landed behind two more and cut them down with silent blades. She moved like death itself, her cloak flowing like a shadow. Derek looked up, surprised to see her, but he didn't question. No. He nodded, eyes fierce, and together they fought back to back. Blaster fire lit the night. Hunters screamed and fell. Smoke filled the street. When the last enemy fell, silence returned. Derek looked at Serena, breathing hard. "Why did you help me?" he asked. She didn't answer. Her eyes said everything. "We have the same enemies." Sirens wailed in the distance. Derek grabbed his daughter's hand. He looked at Serena. "We need to go." Now Serena hesitated. She had come to kill him. But now, standing here, she realized the only way to survive was to fight together. She nodded once. Together. They ran into the darkness, hunted by shadows, but for the first time, not alone.